Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining me tonight on this Sights and Sounds Trail Series Dusk hike here at Shaw Nature Reserve. It is Tuesday, the first day of September. Happy September everyone. Only about 20 days left of summer until that fall equinox. So live it up. Let me show you where we're gonna go today. So I'll turn the camera around. So we are going to start here at the bus stop, or the wetland parking area, which is right over there. And then I thought today we will travel up this road here, which is Freund Ridge Road, or Quarry Road, I guess it is. And then we're gonna head up into Barn Road, check out the prairie and the beautiful flowers right here along this edge. And then we're gonna take off down this dotted path. This is called the Hidden Valley Trail. So we're gonna take off down into the Hidden Valley Trail, and come to this woodland bottom and see if we can't find some ripe pawpaws down there. If we find some ripe ones, I'll see if we can shake them out of a tree, and then we'll cut them open and take a look at Asimina triloba fruits. So it'll be a nice, about 45-minute hike. Yeah, so let's get started. So thanks again for joining me. And again, just like always, if you wouldn't mind just sharing where you're watching this Sights and Sounds Trail Series hike from, I'd appreciate it. And you're always welcome to ask questions as we go along. Share your input. If you can help us identify plants, that's just as helpful. If I don't know the answer to the questions, maybe somebody who is watching can help ID. So let's go ahead and head up the road. So here's a plant that we came to last week with the help of one of our Sights and Sounds Trail Series members. We identified this as, it's spelled Gerardia. I think it has another common name, but this plant here is hemiparasitic, meaning that while it goes through its own photosynthesis, it still does steal some resources from the plants around it. And again, really easy to identify. It's this plant that has these nice pink flowers on it, but from a distance, it looks like little ornaments are hanging off of this plant. And these ornaments not only are the new flowers, but they also provide, you can see the surface area to catch those water droplets that benefit the animals found here in this community. So here's one without all of its flowers. I know it's kind of hard to see, but if I put my hand behind it, maybe you can kind of see those white bulbous ornaments, I call them. It's just the flower heads that have yet to open. All right. Hello, Midge Watkins from Palo, Ohio, aka Mom. Tilda, good to see you. Jen Jenkins from Pacific. Steve from Imperial. I can keep listing off everybody. Good to see all of you. Let's see. Phyllis is from Kirkwood. Ross is here from New Haven. Leslie from STL. Thanks for watching. So we now move over to one of our big bull thistles. Really large flower head. So we have about 2.5 inches of this flower head. Really beautiful. It does attract a lot of pollinators. It is one of these plants though that's pretty precarious. It has a lot of these pointy, sharp edges along its leaves there, for protection. But the cool little like melon looking flower heads too are also very protected by these really sharp hairs here. So be mindful. They do turn into these really beautiful big pink flowers. So I'm not quite sure if this species here is invasive, but I believe that we have a native thistle here at the nature reserve, and we also have a non-native thistle. But they will take over. Again, they have those very dramatic sharp points. And there's one, and here's another one. Nice Dr. Seuss looking flowers. Hello, Beverly Blanton Fisher from Robertsville. And so we'll keep walking along the prairie's edge here. See what else we can find. It just rained out here, so those plants are transpiring. A lot of that extra water resource they have, they're letting off. Almost have this as they're perspiring, but they're transpiring. So there's a lot of interesting smells out here in the prairie. Kind of smells sweet, but some of it smells a little pungy. All right, so we do come to the beautiful Solidago altissima, which is tall goldenrod. I can try and take a step back, but you can see, so there's 3 feet, and then we still have another maybe 2 feet to go. So this is probably standing about 5 feet tall, maybe a little bit less. But this one is just a beautiful golden color. And if you look real close, let's try and zoom in. There you go. You can kind of see those really tiny flowers. Each one, right there by my fingernail, tiny individual flower. I believe this is in the aster family because it has those ray florets, but also those really small florets in the middle. Pollination in action. Actually, that might be hanging out from the rain. Thanks, Ross, for sharing. So we had our Solidago altissima, and then just beginning to bloom. It's still a little green here, but this is Solidago rigida, or this is stiff goldenrod. You can see the flower heads haven't flowered yet, but they're a little more bulbous. And then the leaves are definitely different. Check out those leaves. Let me try and get them in focus. So about the size of my thumb, nice and rounded edges. They are rough. And so look at those leaves of stiff goldenrod. We'll compare them right over here to tall goldenrod's leaves. Tall goldenrod, much longer leaf, much skinnier, has a little bit of serration along the edges. So 2 in the goldenrod family, tall goldenrod, and then stiff goldenrod. We'll see if we can find other goldenrods. Hello, Christine from KC. Thanks for joining us. Botany Bob Gardens. Bob, good to see you from Edwardsville. Thanks for joining. So we're walking up Quarry Road right now, just seeing what we can find. Oh, it did rain a lot this afternoon, which is really nice. It was dry for a while, but you can, oh, there goes a monarch in the background. You can see it fluttering away. Nice. What's so fascinating about the plant world is they're able to capture the raindrops, not just for themselves, but to share it with the other organisms that survive and thrive in the same ecosystem. That's Indian grass. That's what that kind of grass is. So dominant grasses here, this Indian grass. And then right behind it, we have big blue stem, or some people call it turkey foot. If you look at the grass seed heads, they kind of look like a turkey's foot. And then we have gamma grass, which is already flowered and on its way out. All right, let's keep on moving. So here we have what I believe is a Rudbeckia. I'm not quite sure which one. It might be Triloba, brown-eyed Susans. Pretty small leaf or a flower head, almost about an inch. And then if you come down here and look at their leaves, that's their leaf. So it might be another Rudbeckia. If anybody has another ID, please go ahead and share that. But I believe this is in the Rudbeckia family. It's right here along the edge of the prairie. Oh man. And then I guess I will say, people ask what my favorite flowers are, and I always forget about this one, but it is one of my favorites. This is Helianthus Maximiliani, or Maximilian sunflower. Easy to ID, because all we're looking for are these folded leaves. So these leaves will not open. This is as open as they get, and this is a sunflower. And while it's not open yet, you can begin to see the yellow of the sunflower petals. I really enjoy this sunflower here. It comes out obviously late summer, big nice yellow bloom, and I think that once this blooms entirely and you smell it, I believe it smells like cocoa powder. So it's really easy to remember. Look at those folded leaves and then smell the flower. Make sure there's no bees or any pollinators first, and smell this flower once it opens, and tell me if it doesn't smell like cocoa powder to you. So one of my, well, I guess this is on the list of my favorite plants here at Shaw Nature Reserve. And this is a small one. This one's probably only about 4.5 feet tall. We see some other ones. Can you see that one right there? That's probably about 7.5 feet tall. Maximilian sunflower. I can't wait for these to pop open. You can see them. And they will be everywhere. They will be the dominant flowering plant here along the edge of the prairie. Here soon. And then tucked down here below, we have the yellow of the partridge pea. Again, the leaves are still open. Oftentimes they'll be closing up this time of evening. But if we look closely, I know it might be pretty hard to see in this camera. If we look closely right at my, oh man, that's gonna be really hard to see, but right above my thumb, there is a little dot of red. I don't know if you can see that in your camera, but right above my thumb, it's a little dot of red, and that there is a nectar port, I'm calling them. See if I can find a better one. So this plant, with its excess nectar production, doesn't just waste it. It provides that nectar in those little portals and the little ports, which allows then other organisms like ants to come over and enjoy the nectar. And then on the flip side, those ants might protect this plant here from other damaging insects. So it's a mutual relationship. The extra nectar from this plant gets pumped into these little pods, where then other organisms drink out of those pods and then potentially protect the plant. So it's providing resources for another organism for its own protection. When you find partridge pea, look close and see if you can find some of those red nectar pods. Again, they're really little. There's one, I don't know, you can hardly see it, but it's on my middle finger, right above my thumb. Come check them out. Make sure you bring a magnifying glass. But really cool ways that the plant life has learned to adapt and evolve to provide resources for the animal life in response to needing protection. Or maybe it was just a mutual benefit. Maybe they didn't think they wanted protection, but they just got the protection. All right. It's quite overcast still, but it looks like we can see a little bit of the sun peeking through. Hi, Corey. Thanks for joining. We're headed up Quarry Road here. Quarry, sorry. Q-U-A-R-R-Y. This is Quarry Road. If you take this left by my golf cart, that will take you down to the river via the Quarry Road. Or we're going to take the right here, and this turns it into Barn Road. And Barn Road is how we're going to access the Hidden Valley Trail. So out here I'm starting to smell cilantro. Some people might smell soap, but that smell of, like, the whiff of cilantro, get out here, you're gonna find prairie dropseed. Is that grass. It's really low grass, looks like cousin it from the Addams family. It all folds all over. If I can find some, I'll show you, but definitely that really strong pungent smell of soap, or I'm forgetting what I said. But anyways, we'll move on because my brain blanked. I had a brain fart. Here, right here, ragweed. This is what's causing our seasonal allergies this time of year. This is ragweed. There is a cousin of ragweed's tall. It's like a giant ragweed. But this is a shorter ragweed. But this stuff here, this green, these are all flowers. This has a green flower to it. And I don't think it's ready yet, but this is a plant that's wind dispersed. And so when it's ready and its pollen is all produced, it just hangs out, and any little touch provides a poof, this cloud of pollen. So this ragweed is everywhere. And this is in fact what is causing our seasonal allergies. But it's nice and camouflaged. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look scary. It's just nice green flowers. When in turn, the unfortunate plant that gets a lot of blame are the goldenrods. Look how golden that is. A lot of people associate that color with pollen, and they assume that these are the plants that cause our allergies, which in fact is not true, because these are insect pollinated, but it's this ragweed here. Look at all of this ragweed. Cilantro, thanks Leslie. Oh gosh, oh thank you. All right, so I came around the corner. I'm here at Barn Road, up the hill in that direction. That tree line is where we were last week. That is where the Prairie observation deck is. And ooh, look what we found here. So we saw this plant earlier this year. These are actually the flowers of Prairie Dodder. So D-O-D-D-E-R. Remember, this was that plant that was orange and it was parasitic. So these are actually the flowers, and you can actually, the yellow anthers are sticking out there with the pollen production on them. So they look like cheese puffs wrapped around the stem of this goldenrod. Here's another view. So these are the flowers of Prairie Dodder. And Prairie Dodder injected itself into the stem of this plant. So these flowers are in fact coming out of the stem of its host plant. And so we see it. So we see this flowers here, but then we keep looking behind us and we see more flowers there. Kind of see flowers on the way out. So what kind of looks like just a mold growth are actually flowers of Prairie Dodder. And then right next to Prairie Dodder, we have tick trefoil. Nice blue flowers. Usually tick trefoil we're seeing in pinks, but oftentimes the only way we identify or we find this plant or know that it's around is that they have these little seed pods by my fingers that stick to your pants. So tick trefoil is in the legume family, and here's their legume. They'll grow a little one bean inside of those pods. But yep, these are oftentimes, this is how we often find this plant stuck to our leg. Tick trefoil. And it's this plant here with these nice bluish purple flowers. Wow. All right, look, yeah, you see, there's a little, we're seeing more of these Prairie Dodder flowers. But if you're a parasitic plant, you have to remember that the damage you do to your host plant ultimately damages you. So we look at, as an example over here, here's Prairie Daughter that has literally destroyed its host plant, and the flowers are browning really quickly, and they're not as bright white and yellows as we see on others. So as a parasitic plant, while you gain a lot of benefit from your host, if your host dies, it's not good for you. Ooh, there's an even better example. Look how dead this is, and these flowers are just not looking good. And then we compare that to a host plant that's still alive. Look how bright white those flowers are. A lot of male anthers being produced on there. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Barb. I guess our pets will find some of these plants before we do, especially if they got those little stickers all over them. Nice. So this part of we just rounded the end. We're still on Barn Road, but we're on the right side of the prairie, and we have a lot of Solidago rigida beginning to bloom. So stiff goldenrod has that beautiful golden color, but as we look up, you can see kind of the yellows peeking out, but this whole field is full of tall goldenrod, stiff goldenrod, and Maximilian sunflowers. Doesn't look like much now, but come back in a week or so. Ooh, there's probably can't see it, but we have a lot of goldfinches are hanging out back there. They're eating the seeds from the indigo bushes. It's the only poor thing about this camera, I can't zoom in. Ooh. So here we have, oh gosh. Another golden looking flowers here. So these are pretty tall, about 5.5 feet. I think they're a sunflower, but a good way to check is we look at the flower itself. Looks like a sunflower. But then remember we turn it over and we look at the bracts on the underside. And these bracts are more round, their tips are more rounded. So we see those by my thumb. See how nice and round those are? I'll find a sunflower and I'll compare. But this is going to be oxide sunflower or false sunflower. All right, good idea. Let's go see if we can find a true sunflower and show you the comparison of the bracts. Hi, Gala. Thanks for joining us today, this evening. Happy Tuesday. Ooh. So our common milkweed is throwing its pods up. Soon enough, those will fluff out. And there's just a ton of insects that have just dispersed from when I came in here. Ooh. So we'll look at this blue, and then we'll come back and talk about Lespedeza. Wow. So in this patch of field that is full of yellows, we turn in here and we find these beautiful blues. Look at this beautiful color. So I believe this is a skull cap. I believe this is a Scutellaria. It is a mint, so we can check by feeling the stem. And yep, if you look close, the stem is in fact square. We see the opposite branching. And then we come up here to the flower heads and we see that there's clusters of flower heads growing here. So I believe this is Scutellaria. Nice and tall, about 4 feet. We'll really mix in here with these yellows and golds that we'll see here in a little bit. Nice. But here is a plant that we should all be familiar with. So this is Lespedeza, or I believe it's Lespedeza cuneata. This is an invasive Lespedeza. It's in the clover family. This was brought in to help farm fields control erosion. They also thought that this plant would do very well in being used for hay. If you see, there's a lot of leaf matter on here, a lot of organic matter on this plant. But the problem with Lespedeza, or Lespedeza, is this plant just takes over uncontrollably. This is invasive, and you can see it there, and you can see it there. And it will take over if uncontrolled. And we're doing our darndest to control this plant. But it takes many man hours, many person hours out here managing Sericea lespedeza. Because at this time of year, the only way we could manage this plant is by spot spraying it. And so just imagine you're on our restoration team and you're just walking back and forth along this prairie looking for Lespedeza, Sericea lespedeza, and spot spraying it. So we do have a native Lespedeza here, Lespedeza capitata. I think it's round-headed bush clover. And so that is native. And I compare this for wildlife interests. Lespedeza capitata, the native Lespedeza, is Cheerios, delicious, loving Cheerios. And this one is that off-brand Toasted O's. Doesn't really taste the same, has a more cardboardy taste, a little more chalky, and the wildlife seem to prefer the Cheerios or the native Lespedeza compared to that one. So that's the best way I can put it in terms of taste value. So once you see it everywhere. All right, well, let's keep on moving. The sun is going down quickly, and it's definitely overcast. Unfortunately, no sunset tonight. Again, this nice, it's cooling off. A lot of water has fallen here on the ecosystems and habitats at Shaw Nature Reserve. Blue sage. Thanks, John. See if we can't find it again. So blue sage. It's always nice to have those in the crowd that can help us ID things. I just saw it. Here we go. Okay. Ooh. So here's that blue sage that John helped us identify. There's another one over there. Beautiful. And then we see the Sericea. While it is invasive, it still has these really interesting flowers. All right. Yep. So we see Sericea is there, Sericea is there, Sericea there, Sericea there, Sericea everywhere. Yep. So once we have volunteers back at the nature reserve, hopefully that's sooner than later, that's always a big project, is coming out and helping remove Sericea. I'll just let you listen to the wildlife for a little bit. So a lot of singing insects out tonight. I'm glad I wore my pants because we are heading down this trail. This will take us into Hidden Valley. Before we go, we are greeted by mist flower, M-I-S-T. There's a cultivar that my wife and I grow in our gardens for cut flowers that we call ageratum. I think it might be related, but I also believe that this mist flower went through a recent botanical name change. So maybe John or Quarry, if you can help us identify or use the Latin name for this mist flower. Nice purple, low growing flower here, right along the edge. And then late summer, early fall is aster season. So here we see these bushes of big old green plants. So these are asters, symphotrichum, but without the flower. I have a hard time IDing them. So mark this spot here in a few weeks. This will be popping with color. Hi, Lisa. Yep, we have some goldenrod that are blooming. We have tall goldenrod, like we see here, and then we have rigid goldenrod. But we're headed down into the forests now. Let's make our way down here. If you're coming on this trail, when you come out the nature reserve, make sure you bring pants. We haven't mowed it yet, but we are moving. We're kind of walking through the edge of the prairie, and we're moving into what some might consider like a savanna with your sparse trees and tall grasses. But we are making our way down here into the Hidden Valley Trail. Ooh, nice. Along the edge of Hidden Valley Trail, we see these nice pink flowers. They're kind of closed up for the evening, but this plant here is pretty low to the ground with lots of spreading branches coming off the main stem. And so this is known as elephant's foot. I guess it's called elephant's foot because it has pretty large basal leaves. But the Latin name is fun. It has Elephantus in the Latin name. I'm just blanking on the entire one. But real low to the ground, elephant's foot. Flowers coming from the leaves that are clasped around the stem. But these flowers seem to be closed up right now. All right, heading off. And already we're seeing signs of fall. We'll go see what tree that is already changing to its yellows. We've got one right here. Another invasive, Linus ramachii, is putting out his seeds. And we have a really interesting, almost like a goldenish glow from the sun setting in the clouds here. See, there you go. Thanks, John. There we go. All right. Thank you for the Latin names. So the yellow tree above my head is one of our dogwoods. One of the first trees to flower in the spring, one of the first ones to turn in the fall. But coming in through here, we're really being enveloped by the canopy of this forest, so it gets a little darker. And we're just nice. So heading down here, we're gonna go see if we can find some pawpaws. Nice. So every once in a while, on the forest floor, we'll come across one of these. So you can see the size. It's a nice round orb, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So this is really delicate. It's made of plant material, leaf material. So this is an oak gall, an oak wasp gall. So this is a response, an oak tree's response to an insect laying an egg within its, just under the surface of its stem. So the female insect lays the egg, adds a little extra chemical in there that hacks into the tree system, creating this nice little gall that surrounds what the tree thinks is an invader. So like our white blood cells will surround anything that enters our body, the tree does the same thing. But unbeknownst to the tree, the animal has hacked this system, and the egg grows up within inside here, and the larva grows up, eating its way out. And then once it's fully mature, it'll eat its way out, and all that is left is this really cool oak gall. I'm not going to tear this one open, but I highly recommend if you find one of these to open it up. The structure inside is really cool looking. So I'll leave that for you. It'll be right here on the trail. Oop. So thank you all for joining us this evening. The Sights and Sounds Trail series will be moving to Tuesdays as it has now. We are headed down the Hidden Valley Trail, which is accessible by parking at the wetland parking lot and then walking up Quarry Road. Then you take a left at you take a right at Barn Road, and then the Hidden Valley Trail is tucked in on the left-hand side. So this trail will eventually lead us down to the bottom of Quarry Road, where then we can access the river. But we're not going to the river today. Just going to enjoy the hike through the Hidden Valley Trail. Oop. If you just joined us, I always ask my visitors if they would mind. Oh, sorry, I ran into a spider web. That's why you bring a stick with you. That's why I have this. Just getting rid of the spider webs. Make sure you have a spider web stick, or if you're out on the trail, bring a friend that's taller than you and have them walk in front of you. Those are my 2 tips. But back to what I was saying, if you joined us a little bit later, please go ahead if you feel you want to and share with us where you are watching from. It's always nice to watch our community grow and see where people are watching from. So let's do some little engagement. If you have come out to Shaw Nature Reserve since we've reopened, will you go ahead and give me a thumbs up? Let's see how many folks have been watching have come out to Shaw Nature Reserve already. So if you've been to Shaw Nature Reserve since we've opened, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. So I'm keeping my eye out for turtles as well. It's a little late in the evening, but with all this water, oftentimes we can find turtles that have scampered on the trail. Kind of dry out a little bit, but also hunt for those worms that have come to the surface after all of this water. Nice. Thanks, Jennifer. Man. Okay. All right. Oh, wow, okay. Awesome. All right, so we do come to a little intersection here, so we're going to continue going that way, hunting for pawpaws. But you can also access Quarry Road by heading up this trail here. This one will actually take you up to the cave. There is a cave here at Shaw Nature Reserve. It's not a big cave by any means, but there is a cave here. The smell has changed. Down here in the forest, it smells a lot more woody, like obviously wet wood, and the sweetness is gone from the prairie, and it is much darker. One of the challenges to doing a dusk hike in the forest, but maybe in the winter it'll be a little bit different with the lack of foliage. Ooh-wee. So beautiful shelf mushrooms. Look at the size of that one. And then here we go. So what do we have? About a foot long of this mushroom. Nice orange color, really bright orange. Maybe jack-o'-lantern fungus. I don't think it's chicken in the woods because it doesn't have that same growth habit. But here we have a gigantic mushroom, shelf mushroom, growing off of this dead tree here. And there's one there, and we keep moving up, and there's some more like pancake style. There's another one, and they just keep going up and up this dead tree. Wow, beautiful. I know the camera is hard to capture the picture, but these are very, very Halloween-y orange. Really, really cool. Tilda, I have not heard any owls yet. I will keep my ears open. Ooh, man. What time is it? Oh, it's 7:42. So, daylight savings. Well, we're gonna be turning our clocks back here in a little bit, but I don't know. I've seen this post around recently. Maybe this is the year 2020 that we just rip the Band-Aid off of daylight savings times. Everyone's at home already. We're already confused of what time it is because we're not in our regular routines. So maybe this is the year. Oh man. But even in the forest, we're still seeing a little bit of color. We have our wing stem, or this might be also yellow ironweed. Ooh. Focus. Nice green flowers. Oh man, yeah, we're losing light quickly. I want to go see if we can't find any pawpaws. It is pawpaw season, most definitely. They are ripening up. It is fun to eat one. They taste delicious. Just a friendly reminder, though, that Shaw Nature Reserve has a no collecting policy. So we do want to make sure that, that while you enjoy the natural world and you enjoy the pawpaws that are growing on the pawpaw trees, that we do leave them for the wildlife. Pawpaws can be found at any conservation area around here in Missouri. Oh man, sorry, the light's fading so fast. But coming down here after the rain and being in this forest and feeling how humid, I guess you would say it is, definitely reminds us that even here in America, we do live in an area that is dominated by temperate rainforests, or temperate forests, especially down here. Ooh, across the creek, get smacked in the face by the leaf, but that's all worth it in our journey to find pawpaw. So you can see it is still very much light out as we peek through the canopy of these giant sycamores and cottonwoods. It's just we struggle to, the light struggles to get down here to the forest floor. Man. Yeah, okay. So we did have some nasty wind damage roll through this forest. Oh, that's not gonna be good. All right. All right, everybody, let me go ahead to that little light spot right there. Let's see, it's about 7:45, and it's just getting really dark. So these, yeah, okay. Let's just come out to the light here in a little bit. All right, so we're not gonna make it far enough into the forest right now to find pawpaws, unfortunately. Try and put myself in, I know I need a flashlight. Try and put myself in the light as much as possible. I'll put my head up maybe. All right. So I am going to end the hike here. It is getting really dark. It's a really nice night though. And so I do want to inform you all that going forward, I believe next week, The hikes will go out at 7 p.m., but the following week will start even earlier at 6:30. So remember that the Shaw Nature Reserve's hours have changed to 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And again, sorry for having to close out this video a little earlier than I hoped. It's just too dark down here in this hidden valley trail. But this is where we can find pawpaws. And if you want to find some pawpaws, come to this trail. Okay? All right. Okay, everyone. Well, I appreciate you joining me for these new Sights and Sounds, well, new, just rescheduled Sights and Sounds Trail Series hikes that take place on Tuesdays going forward. Please share these with your friends, share these with your families. Make sure to check out the MBG class guide. We are hosting in-person classes here at Shaw Nature Reserve. I'll lead a few of those hikes. The other education staff will lead a few of those hikes. And it's just a great time to come out to Shaw Nature Reserve and learn a little bit and enjoy the natural world with the staff. Being safe, being mindful of our social distancing, being mindful of our health practices, wearing masks and so on and so forth. But come out to Shaw Nature Reserve. It's a fantastic place. 17 miles of trail, 2,500 acres. This is the place you want to come to socially distance. So we'll see you on the trail when you come out. And when you're out here, please enjoy the sights and sounds of Shaw Nature Reserve. All right, everyone. We will see you next time in a little more lights. Take care. Thank you.